Hi everybody and welcome to this YouTube tutorial. Today I'm going to be featuring a fly known as the sparkledun. This is going to be the Sulphur or the PMD sparkledun that I'll be tying for you. This is a very similar fly to the comparadun with the exception of the tail. In this case I'm going to be using a material similar to z-lon or antron. It's called ice fur. It's a camel color. Sometimes I'll use brown as well. And versus representing a mayfly tail, this material is going to represent the nymphal shuck of that emerging mayfly. That's really critical because when the fish see this nymphal shuck, they know that there's a mayfly that's emerging and it could possibly be stuck in the film or it could be a cripple. Either way, it tells the fish that it's really easy pickings and they really seem to key in on this stage of the mayfly. What's nice about the material is that it's very easy to tie in and it just really appears just like this beacon to the fish, just asking to be taken. The other critical piece of this is the deer hair wing, and I'll talk about that in one moment. Before I get tying everything else aside from my little base, I do want to mention that I am featuring Allen fly fishing hooks in this video. The hook that I am using today is a D101 BL, and the BL stands for barbless, which is really nice because you don't have to worry about pinching down the barb. This is a size 12. I'll tie this sulfur color the whole way from a size 12 down to an 18, even though for this sparkledun, I will tie the sparkledun the whole way down to a size 22. Well, to start off with, you can see I've stopped the thread near the eye of the hook, and I'm going to tie in my deer hair wing. I have a couple different colors that I like to use. On one side is a darker color, on the other is a lighter. For this pattern today, I'm going to choose the lighter color. But the real key isn't necessarily the fact that we're using deer hair. The real key is the tips of the deer hair. I'll try to show you some of these tips next to my fingers. If you take a close peek at these tips, you'll notice that the very ends of them are dark. They have a black tipping to them. I got some excess deer hair in there. Whenever you see that black tipping, that's a key to you to say, hey, use that deer hair. Because when they have that black tipping, typically it's a finer deer hair and it sets in really nice for this pattern. It won't blow up too much and it won't really cause excess spinning or anything along those lines. So to do this, I'm going to trim just a little clump out of my deer hair. And once I get the clump, I'm just going to clean out the butt section of it. Just remove all those little loose ends. Then I throw that little clump in my stacker. Just do a quick stack of this. Okay, then when I remove it, I should have all my tips lined up. I'm just going to grab them with one hand, remove any of that excess stuff on the other side. And you really want to you don't want to vary the length of these too much. So I'm going to keep them pretty much hook shank. Move it forward. I'm going to put one loose wrap around, then a second wrap, and pull straight down. What's again nice about this material, these deer hair fibers, if you're using the correct ones, when you start wrapping back, very little will move at the front of the fly. I'm not going to really adjust the front of the wing at all right now. Instead, I'm just going to keep the butt sections in my fingers and trim. Okay, if you miss any little pieces, you can grab them. That's really not too critical because they'll be getting covered. All right, I'm just going to wrap over them a few times. If you catch any of the wings or those tips, just move them forward just a hair for the time being. So I'm just going to wrap through this butt section just to ensure that they're locked down. Then I stop right here. I might grab some of my, again, this is the camel color. I'm just going to grab a little bit of it, just a nice little bunch. I don't like to go too excessive in this case. I trim the bunch. I'm going to tie it in directly behind my deer hair wing. The reason I'm tying it right there is because that deer hair, whenever you trim the butt sections, it really forms kind of an aggressive taper, and that's not too desirable to see in a mayfly. You don't want to see this extremely aggressive taper from the thorax down. So that's why I tend to tie in the tail directly behind it, as close to it as possible, so then it will form a little bit of a nicer taper as you're finishing this fly. Once you have that tied in, which again is that critical piece to the sparkledun, I'm just going to wrap back. When you get to the back section, you have a couple choices. You can always lift it up, wrap under, if you want it sitting a little bit, but that's not really too critical at all for this fly. I mean, it's not essential whatsoever. I'm just going to stop right there, and then I'm going to get my dubbing on. For the dubbing, since this is a size 12, I'm going to be using a very light, pale yellow because this fly, aside from representing an early sulfur or PMD, can also represent a light Cahill. And again, this will be more of an early season fly. As our sulfurs, especially in central Pennsylvania, continue to hatch throughout the season, they tend to get a little more orange in them. And you'll notice there's not much orange at all. As you dub this on, you want to keep it a nice taper, as you would with most dry flies. Okay, then dub forward. And hopefully my dubbing runs out right around my wing. And it did. So in this case now, we have a couple choices. Because I used the right deer hair, I didn't have to worry about taking my fingernail and pushing down to wrap, because the other key for the wing is that you want to make sure that wing extends 180 degrees around the hook shank. So it's going to be sitting and your fly won't wave back and forth. Mine is, so I don't have to worry about pushing the deer hair down at all. Instead, I'm just going to take my right finger, I'm going to push the deer hair back a little bit. Nothing crazy. As I push it back with my right finger, I'm going to grab it with my left hand and kind of pull it back out of the way. So I've got that moving back. Again, pull with my left, keep it out of the way, just place a couple wraps in front of it. Then I'm going to reapply some dubbing. I need just a little bit more to finish this off. Okay, I'm going to put one wrap in front. I might push them back again because I want to make sure that I really get all the points underneath the fly covered. I'm going to put one wrap behind, pull them back one more time, and another couple wraps forward. Then I'll be ready to finish the head. Now the reason I did that is because if you look at the bottom of my fly, you won't see any deer hair, you won't see anything exposed at the bottom. A lot of beginning tyers on this fly, they'll kind of forget to go back once, and by doing so, you'll leave a little bit of a gap underneath that deer hair wing. Is it really going to affect anything? Maybe, maybe not. I can tell you I like to fish this fly on highly pressured waters where the fish have an opportunity to come up and take a look at it. So if they are finicky fish and they do see that, they could suspect that it's not real. So I've done a half hitch. Let me get my whip finish in here. Finish the head of the fly. I'll just pick up my scissors, make a trim at the front, keep the scissors in my hand, pull this ice dub material back, and I'll pull it tight. Then I let go right before I trim to see if there's any type of spring in it, because I don't want it to spring back and realize I've cut it too short. Once I realize it's not going to spring back at all, I'll make a trim. And now I have the finished sparkle dun. This is a PMD or sulfur sparkle dun. If you want the fly to look a little bit prettier, which mine right now is probably not as pretty as it should be for the camera, so you can just pretty it up by taking some of your deer hair fibers, putting them right back in the position where they belong. For your sake, I will do that. If I was going to fish this fly, I probably would not. If you have any that appear to kind of be out of whack, like right there, I see one that's out of whack. You have a couple options. The first option is simply by trimming it. Another option is you can grab your hackle pliers, grab a hold of that one fiber, and simply pull it out. Now, if I didn't have this fly on a video, I probably wouldn't care about that one little fiber hanging out there. But again, for your sake, I will remove it because I do want this to look great for you guys so you know exactly what the finished sparkle dun should look like. So as I kind of primp this, touch it up the whole way around, it does sit perfectly. It will go 180 degrees around that hook bend. Let me lower this just a hair so I know it's completely in the camera for you guys. And there is a look at the finished sulfur / PMD sparkle dun. As I mentioned at the beginning, I am featuring the Allen fly fishing hooks. And again, this was the D101BL, and that BL stood for barbless. So that was with the featured hook. This was a size 12, but you don't have to worry about necessarily tying this on a 12. I do recommend this the whole way down to a size 18, but you really want to, take a look at what sizes are in your area and, tie this based on those sizes that you see. Thank you as always for viewing my YouTube channel. If you have any questions, comments, you're more than welcome to leave them directly on this page, or you can always email me at tcammisa@gmail.com. Thank you everybody for viewing this YouTube tutorial.